And we're live. Good evening. Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Welcome to my channel, Sig David Sports, where I do sports content, interviews with athletes and sports related people. And today we're going to explore the world of martial arts and mixed martial arts, if we can say it. And today we have a kickboxer that I had the chance to see fight at the Conflict 67 MMA event at the North Charleston Athletic Center in North Charleston, which is Brandon Halley, who had a great points decision win, and I had a great chance to interact with him that day. So Brandon, welcome to my channel, and what a pleasure to have you here. Good to have you here, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, man. This is the first time I've been interviewed, so this is kind of interesting. I'm usually the one doing interviews, hence why you see the combat journalist underneath my name. So this is definitely an interesting feeling. So thank you for the opportunity, Ezekiel.
No, no, the pleasure is mine. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how do you start with martial arts?
Yeah, so and this part has nothing to do with how I started martial arts, but I'll just give you like my life story here. I was born and raised in Japan. I lived in Japan from since I was born to I was about 12 years old. Then I moved to here in Charleston, South Carolina. And then I didn't start martial arts until I was 20 years old.
Wow.
I needed a sport after high school, and I played soccer growing up. I was a goalkeeper, and then I needed something else after high school, and I started in Muay Thai. And how I got into that is another flashback of when I was in middle school. I used to play this game called League of Legends, right? It's a computer game. It's pretty popular and not so popular now, but and one of the characters is like a martial artist. You can buy these cosmetic skins for your characters, and one of the skin for this character was a Muay Thai skin. It made him a Muay Thai fighter. I'm like, what's Muay Thai? What is that? It just happened to be the most expensive skin that he had, so I bought it because it looked cool. But I didn't know what Muay Thai was, so I looked up what Muay Thai was. This is like seventh grade, eighth grade myself, and then to find out it's like Thai boxing, and that there's all this cool stuff going on. So I've actually known about Muay Thai for a very long time, but did not dabble into it until 5 or 6 years after that point. And then 20 years old, I started training, and then flash forward to 2025. Here I am. I've been doing it for about 4 to 5 years now.
Oh, okay. And so tell me, so how many fights you had so far?
I have 7 fights now. So I started competing in December of 2022, I think. Yeah, 2022. And then been competing. I took a year off last year. I competed once in 2024 and then took a long break. I got married, my honeymoon, and then I started doing this combat journalism thing. So I took a break last year. If I didn't, I probably would have 10 plus fights at this point. But I took a big break, so now I have 7 fights.
Okay, tell us a bit about how was about your last fight that I saw that I had a chance to see. How do you remember? It was a very good performance. The fans were very happy with it. So how do you describe it? How do you remember it?
Yeah, actually, this is like the only fight I actually remember. So most of the time I fight, and then it's like I'm just on autopilot. I don't remember anything going on until I rewatch it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. But yeah, this is the only one that I actually remember. So this was a hometown fight. Um, I just switched gyms, so this was my first fight with my new gym, Charleston Muay Thai. Um, and yeah, I remember getting a little bit nervous, of course, once the cage is locked. It feels tight in there. You know, the referee says go. He threw a left kick. I block. I threw a jab cross. I back him up into the cage because I knew he's a pressure fighter. He likes to come forward. So if I give him opportunities to start striking and walk me down, that's what he wants. So I needed to keep him on the edge. I threw my jab cross to push him off. And then I threw my right kick up as he was backing off into the cage. He threw a jab as he was stepping back. And I noticed that anytime he throws any punch, his other hand comes down. So he threw a jab with his left hand. His right hand was down. So as he was bringing it back, I threw the right kick over the top. And then that stunned him. And I saw that look in his eyes. And then I threw a cross, my right cross, right after that. And that dropped him. Um, I was like kind of freaking out on the inside because I never dropped anybody before. So internally, I was having my little girl scream, but externally, I try to be really, really calm. Um, I kind of chased him a little bit because I almost didn't believe that it was really happening, and then I saw when he really fell down, I had to step back. Obviously, it's not legal. It's not legal for us to continue striking in kickboxing after the opponent is down. So I'm back up, and then the goal is, well, how can I get him out next? So he stands back up, wobbles all over the place, runs into the referee, and it somehow like stabilizes himself. I don't know. He took that kick flush to the face and then still got up, kept fighting. He got through the first round. I'm putting good pressure on him. I'm not getting tagged too much. Second round, sort of the same issue. We had a lot of growing strike issue. I landed strikes to his growing.
Oh
I think
yeah.
total of 3 times. It was just unfortunate. He was crashing in after I kicked, and it just happened that I'm just hitting it there. That's obviously it's an accident, but it's still unacceptable on my part. So, but at the end of the second round, we had gotten a clinch. I pushed him off, and in the kickboxing rule set, um, when you clinch, they ask you to break, and when you break, the fighters are supposed to break off of each other and continue fighting. Whereas if it's a stop, you stop fighting, the referee breaks you guys apart, and then he says fight where you guys continue fighting. So he gave us the break command. So I broke off, he broke off of me. I immediately started striking. I threw a cross, a left hook, and a right kick, and I dropped him the second time. So I threw that left kick to turn his body to his right side, opening up. I landed that kick straight to the face. And then somehow he still got up from that after the second head kick that dropped him. And then that was the end of the round. And then the third round is mostly just about I understood that I was winning the fight, uh, both 10-8 on round one and round two. So I was winning on a with a pretty significant score difference. So third round, I knew I just needed to be safe. I really wasn't too stressed with his boxing. That was really mostly the thing that he was throwing at me. So round three, yeah, just being safe, not taking too much damage, and then seeing the end of the round. And then yeah, I got the decision win. Well, obviously would love to get the finish, but this is the first performance I'm really proud of, and then I actually can remember every detail of it. So yeah, it was a good learning experience for me. It's a good learning experience for him. Um, Successful night for the team, successful night for myself and my family and friends. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I remember once that you you drafting with, I remember with a right kick and then with a like a kind of a left jab. I remember, and I was like, oh my god. Yes, and I remember watching it, and I was like, ooh, that was a very good combination.
Yeah, it's like a signature. That's like one of my signature strikes. So um, I watch a lot of Japanese kickboxing, so Japanese K1, and a lot of Japanese kickboxing fighters are they're karate-based fighters, and specifically like a lot of Kyokushin karate. And Kyokushin karate is this really tough breed of karate where they don't wear any gloves, no shin guards. They just have their gi on, and they have no strikes to the face with the hands. So it's bare knuckle boxing to the body,
Ooh,
and you have knee and kicks to the body and leg and to the head. So you'll see these guys fighting in boxing range with punches to the body, and out of nowhere you'll see kicks to the head, and they'll knock guys out like that. And so Kyokushin karate guys, they don't turn on their kick with their hips. They kind of like lean and snap their kick up into their opponents. And then that's the kind of kicks that I like to use. I'm definitely, although my two knockdowns were kick based and I threw a lot of kicks because I wanted to finish them. Um, I'm actually more of a boxer. My boxing coach, Coach Isaac, who owns East Bay Boxing in downtown Charleston, and of course my coach Jeff Grady over at Charleston Muay Thai. Um, I'm a very boxing based fighter. That's like my bread and butter. And so I love kickboxing. Um, but my strong suit is actually my boxing. And so I kick and I throw crosses the same side. That's actually like something that's like a signature strike of mine. And another signature strike of mine, maybe I shouldn't talk about it because I don't want all my opponents to know. But I actually landed one. I landed the other one. My teammates know what my other signature strike is. Because they feel it in the body every time. But yeah, I actually landed one on my opponent. I heard him. I heard him wince, but obviously I got the head kick, so I wanted to get the finish. So I kept landing to the face.
Oh, okay. And tell me, besides so you only done Muay Thai so far, but have you ever done or tried another martial art besides Muay Thai or kickboxing?
Yeah, so I've actually only done kickboxing or Muay Thai, and obviously like the rule sets are a little bit different. I've had aspirations of trying mixed martial arts competitively, but the more I do jujitsu, the more I'm like, I think I like the striking stuff more. So, not saying I'm against jujitsu. It's a beautiful art, but I think it might be something I'll do after my fighting career. Um, and aside from that, no, I don't. I have not done any. I have not done any martial arts. This is the only martial arts I've ever done. Again, I started at the age of 20, so just boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. Those are the only three things I've religiously trained in and competed in.
Okay, and since you said that you were the first years of your life were in Japan. So what was it like to live in Japan? How you compare like the life in Japan to the life here? How was it? How was Japan for you?
It's difficult to like accurately compare because I lived in Japan as a kid, and obviously when you're a child, you're not really like comprehending the world around you. You kind of just like exist. But here's what I will say: this I am fortunate enough to have visited Japan with my wife the last 3 years. My grandma's still over there in Japan, so I've been fortunate to be able to visit her the last 3 years in a row. And Japan's very different. It's just a really different culture. I don't even know where to start. Like America is very, and this is like what it credits to its foundation, but America is about its American dreams, right? About the individual success, and if you have the wealth, you pay it back uh, in philanthropy, right? Like you pay it back to the community if you're able, but it is encouraged to chase your dreams, your American dreams, to chase your goals. People have their own ideologies they feel strongly about, but the Japanese society is a lot different in that it's actually um, you are part of the system, and that is like what the fundamental teaching is in Japan. So like I tell my wife this all the time. For example, American schools, we have janitors, right? They come and clean the schools, classroom, bathroom, yada yada yada. Um, your entire primary education, so from grade 1 to 6, there are no janitors, and well, not perhaps not every school, but in most schools in Japan, there are no janitors. So who does the cleaning? The children does the cleaning, right?
Wow.
So I remember doing, and this is like it's kind of stupid, but uh, in your class, you would eat your lunch, and then you push all the desks back to the back of the classroom, and you go outside and play and stuff. And then when you come back before you resume your education for the day, you guys clean the classroom. So like week by week, you and your group, usually like a group of four, will get different assignments on what to clean. So sometimes you'll clean the floors, sometimes you'll dust, sometimes you'll clean the blackboards, which is like that's the job that everybody wanted. I don't know why, but kids like cleaning blackboards for some reason. And then as you increase in your grade, you'll get to clean different places. So I remember in fourth grade, we got to start cleaning the library, and like that
Wow.
was the shit. Like that was we were looking forward to that, right? Everybody wanted to clean the library. I don't know why, but the library was the cool spot to be, right? So it's just like another small thing of that's just one example of Japanese society is very much like You are part of a system. Follow rules set by by community. Um, you are do unto others what you want done to you. So like you don't be a nuisance to other people. Keep things clean for other people. It's a lot of other people. Think of other people in a way, and I feel like I have that education from when I grew up in Japan, and I still have like the chasing your dreams, the American dream, and the individualism that I grew up with here. So I feel like I have a good mix of both world, like the both black and white, and it kind of makes me a very gray personality. So I've been fortunate enough to grow up in another country where I could see the different societal rules and expectations and mix that with mine.
Oh, okay. And what part of Japan you're originally from?
I'm from Kanagawa, Yokohama, Kanagawa. So it's like Tokyo is right here and Yokohama's right here. And most people know Yokohama from Yokohama Tires or Kawasaki. That's also in Kanagawa. So those are like the two big things that most people will know what.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. And tell me, but in did you ever watch before you start doing Muay Thai? Do you ever like it was any martial art that you like to watch on TV or any fighter that you like to watch maybe on TV?
Before martial arts, no. I have literally never watched martial arts before or fighting before I started doing it. I was a soccer guy. I watched soccer.
Okay, well, since I'm originally Argentinian, we say football. Okay, what else? Yeah, it's different, man. So tell me, what kind of soccer players like you like to watch?
Man, so I'm and people might clown on me for this. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan and English Premier League. So back when I was watching, they still like they weren't good then. I mean, they're not good. They're not good now, but they weren't good then either. This was when like Harry Kane and Son, Ericsson was there. Kyle Walker was still there. Danny Rose, he was on the team. Lloris was the goalkeeper. Like this was like what is it? The like 2013 to like 2017 era, where they weren't really good. This was pre UEFA Championship final debut. So I watched a lot of that. I watched a lot of La Liga. I was watching a lot of BN Sports. So yeah, a lot of Real Madrid, Valencia, Mayorga, of course Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. I was watching a lot of Spanish football too because they play very different from English Premier League, right? A lot more building from the back, keeping possession. Of course, Bundesliga, Serie A. Yeah, I was really into soccer. I was watching anything and everything that was on there and studying different countries and how they play. Um, yeah, I wanted to go pro. I wanted to be a professional soccer player. That was my goal, and when I came to the realization that I'm I'm not good. That's when I left that. But before I started doing martial arts, so I started in 2020, but I took about a year break. Um, I've always had a passion in teaching, and I wanted to be a professional soccer coach, teaching in academies in America. And my coach mentor at the time, he has a lot of good connections. He was a great coach, and so I started teaching at a local soccer club. Problem is, when you're teaching kids who don't really want to play, who aren't really necessarily there for the best reasons, maybe their parents are pushing them. And then soccer parents are the worst. Like they made my life hell. During that time, I gained like 30 pounds. I was indulging in unhealthy habits every day because soccer parents are they make your life hell, man. It's very difficult. But anyways, sorry to get off another tangent. Yeah, I was watching a lot of
Okay.
soccer. A lot of different teams, a lot of different leagues. I could name you like anything about everything from any league at that time. Probably not now, but yeah, back then I could.
Oh wow, you watch a lot of So you watch a lot of football. Well, I say football because I grew up.
Yes, of
You watch
course.
a lot of football, but which footballers like you like watching? That's what
Mm, there's several. So I would say, obviously, I was a goalkeeper, so I like watching goalkeepers, right? I
okay.
like Manuel Neuer. He changed the game a
Man,
bit. So yeah, I watched him a lot. Uh, Iker Casillas, legend. I was
wow.
watching a lot of Iker Casillas. But aside from that, yeah, I watched a lot of fullbacks, outside backs. So I
Yeah.
watched a lot of Kyle Walker, Thomas Muller. I know he's not an outside back, but I watched Thomas Muller a lot too. He's a really really unique player in that he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because the role he plays. So I was watching him a lot. Um, uh, Robert Lewandowski. I mean, come on, like another legend there. He was scoring a lot of goals. Of course, I was watching my team, so Heung-min Son, Harry Kane, Kyle Walker, um, Christian Eriksen. Um, of course, like everyone, Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, uh, Luis Suarez. Of course, the mainstream. But yeah, those are like the few that I can really pop out that I was watching and studying religiously.
Oh wow, very interesting. Very interesting. And you like Manuel Neuer, Iker Casillas, all goalkeeping legends.
Of course, man. I mean, how could you not like Iker Casillas if you like Real Madrid, you gotta love him, even though they did him dirty, right? I mean, I'm sure you cover sports, so like they did him dirty. They kind of just like shoot him away. Not really a ceremony or anything, but
Well, not cover sports, not that much, but maybe I should. And I remember watching Manuel Neuer a lot, especially in the 2014 World Cup. That hurt me watch that final because I wanted my country Argentina to win. Oh man.
yeah, of course that was tough, man. That's tough. I mean,
Oh
the
yeah.
Argentinians did not have the best luck in World Cup, but thank God y'all finally got something.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, let's go back to the martial arts world. Would you like to ever to compete in a MMA fight one day if you decide to do like add another martial like jiu-jitsu or maybe wrestling? How you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say never say never. I mean, like it could happen. Right now, I'm pretty content with not doing it. I'm very happy with kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing. Like I want to be a striking specialist, but never say never. Like who knows? It could happen.
Oh, okay. And in what weight division are you compete?
I was competing in the feather, or it's a little different between sports. The featherweight, so that's 145. It's called a welterweight in kickboxing world. But my last fight was at 155 at the lightweight division. I just wanted to try a different weight class. Felt good. I think I'm gonna keep competing a few more times and see where that takes me.
Okay, so tell me what do you think is the hardest part or the most difficult part of training like for a fight? Maybe make it the weight cut, the strategy for a fight. What is the most difficult or hardest part?
Dude, just doing it, like just showing up to training every day. I mean, it's hard. I just posted this on my Instagram too. Like when you say yes to a fight, you're not just saying yes to competing, right? You're saying yes to like everyday training, which I mean I train every day anyways, but it's it's a little bit different when you have that fight coming up mentality. And as you get closer, then the nerves start kicking in. Like, okay, this is really about to happen. Training every day, the injuries, dieting if you need to diet. Of course, I diet also. I drop weight so that I can make the weight. Um, it's not that any one of those things are hard, but it's doing it all together and then being consistent and disciplined about it. Um, Not letting yourself slip, and when you do slip, bringing yourself back immediately. But I think the hardest part, and maybe some fighters don't agree with this, but like is your internal voice. Of sometimes you can really get in your own head of like you had a bad practice and now you're thinking, am I even good enough to compete? Before this last fight, I lost my last couple fights, so I'm like, do I even know how to win the fight? Sometimes I get stressed about my weight. Can I even make the weight? A lot of doubts creep in, and I think it's natural that those things happen, but it's important to, whether you ignore it or you accept it, whatever it is, just pushing through it and just keep going every single day. And that's the hard part, right? Is just doing it every single day. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, yeah. I can understand. And tell me, so do you like watching kickboxing? What do you like watching kickboxing?
Yeah, of course. I watch a lot of Japanese kickboxing, European kickboxing, um, American kickboxers when there are some. Yeah, of course, I watch them.
Okay. And is there any kickboxing in particular that you like to watch or that is your favorite one?
Great question, Ezekiel. I had the pleasure of working with and interpreting for a Japanese kickboxer, Yuki Yoza. He came to South Carolina a few months ago.
Wow.
He is a scary kickboxer, recently signed to one championship. He has a fight coming up. I love watching him. I love watching Masaki Nori, two Japanese kickboxers that I really like. Um, of course, if you're a K1 Classic fan, Masato, I mean, that's like a Japanese kickboxing archetype for sure. Tenshin Nasukawa in the boxing world, he was a undefeated kickboxer, transitioned into boxing. Um, I like watching Superbon, Thai kickboxer, very technical, very classy. Um, Let me see who else. Of course, I want to shout out like Ace of Ten Pal. I mean, excellent boxer. I've had the pleasure of training with him a few times. He owns a gym down in Florida, Florida Kickboxing Academy. Shout out to those guys. Excellent boxing, just deadly kicks and knees. I mean, he's a scary guy. So, like a true American kickboxer, like watching him. Um, those are like some of the handfuls that I think I can think of, like off the top of my head. I'm sure I missed. Chingiz Alazov, like the best kickboxer in the world, that is unfortunately not in one FC right now. See, I could probably name you a ton if I sat here, but those are like the few that I could think of.
Okay. And what about for example, MMA? Do you like watching the UFC?
Of course, I mean everybody likes watching UFC. Maybe not everybody. I do know a few people who don't, but I don't know if you watched the event on Saturday. Watching Ilia Taporia versus Charles Oliveira. That was a
Watch it.
fun fight to watch too. I like Ilia Taporia a lot because again I really like boxing. I'm a boxer for sure. So Ilya somehow has adapted boxing, a pure boxing style, into MMA and is really successful. And my boxing coach and I, Coach Isaac, we love watching him fight. His technique, his power, the combination he puts out. Um, who else do I like? I mean, of course I like Dustin Poirier. Again, kind of the same reason. Really slick boxing, great punching combinations, great power. Um, Trying to think of who else. Corey Sandhagen. I don't know why I forgot. That's like my favorite UFC fighter. Very slick, technical. He fights at 135 pounds. Hopefully, he'll get the title shot next against Maram. Those are the three like of my favorites on the roster. But of course, I like a bunch of UFC fighters.
Oh, okay. So you like Topuria a lot.
Of course, very good fighter.
Yeah, he is a very, very, yeah, see, he's very good. And well, for some reason, he's unbeaten, although I don't really like that much of the undefeated records. But well, for some reason, he's unbeaten. He's now a two-weight division champion, and he beat great opposition.
Yeah, he just won that belt over Saturday. I mean, I think he's personally, I think he's like the next biggest thing. Perhaps not in popularity, like a Conor McGregor or like some of the other fan favorites, but I think this guy is unstoppable. I truly think so. We can see some holes in the game where people you would think would exploit it. Something about his pressure and his understanding of boxing range, and he really puts a pressure on by staying in that boxing range, makes it really difficult. So, yeah, we'll see where he can go.
Oh, oh, okay. Wow. So tell me, how do you start with this project of the combat journalist?
I think I was watching an interview for a promotion. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I
Oh,
was watching an interview for a local promotion in the Southeast. And I just felt like the interview was done, I don't want to say poorly, but in an uneducated manner, right? To be fair, this person that was interviewing is not a fighter. They don't train. Um, I don't even know that they're around fighters all that much outside of working on shows. So for me, I looked at that and I felt like from the fighters' end, there are a lot of information that was wrong about them. And obviously, like fight records and stuff like that, it's not maybe the most accurate, but when you're setting up for a show, just walk up to them before the fights. Hey, just doing a quick fact check. What's your record? What weight are you fighting at? Or stuff like that, And there's a lot of stuff that goes into the back room. So obviously, some information can be missed. But again, it just felt like it was really uneducated. So I took that as a challenge last year when I was taking a little bit of break prior to my wedding to say, hey, why don't I put myself out there? If I'm going to sit here and complain and critique someone else's work, I should be able to put myself and do the same thing. And so somehow, some way, my great friend and the promoter, Raul Diaz, who owns Ascend World Series, which is another kickboxing promotion here, somehow, some way, he messaged me the same day asking me to see if I wanted to do interviews for fights. So somehow Raul had the premonition that I was thinking about the same thing. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. I was actually thinking about the same thing. And so my journey as the combat journalist started last May or leading up to May. So it was like April. That's when I started doing the interviews. I was getting a lot of great feedback from the fighters saying, hey, like this was a great interview. I like that you like trying to build a story around me. And, I'll put a lot of work into this, into each interview. So, of course, getting positive feedback feels good. So I kept doing it and getting feedback from fighters saying, this is the best interview I've ever worked with. Hey, seeing your interview, you could just tell like you're a personable guy. It's not like a checklist of questions you're asking. You really try to get a story out of these fighters. And so I just kept doing it. And I love it, man. Like I love talking to different people, learning about their history, kind of just like what you're doing. You want to understand what makes people tick, what makes athletes tick, what makes fighters tick. And I'm fortunate to be in the community also. And this is a great way for me to network and to see what else is out there.
okay. You never had to deal. Okay, another question. You ever had to deal with this situation where an opponent like had to pull out of a fight because of an injury or another reason, and or you had a fight that had to be canceled?
I'll tell you two situations because it's happened to me twice now. My very, very first fight, I was supposed to fight with my teammates. I'm at the weigh-in. Everyone's weighing in. All my teammates weigh in, and they call my name at the very end. So I go in. I made weight. I was there for like 2 hours. They told us to be there at 10 a.m. I didn't leave till 12. Right. I waited at 12. Whatever. Made weight. No problem. Noticed that my opponent wasn't there, but my opponent was from the promoter's gym. So I said maybe they got something working out. Whatever. Like I'm sure he'll be there. No big deal. Preparing myself for a fight. I get a call from my coach later on saying, "Hey, your opponent pulled out because he had to help his grandma move." So the
Oh,
day of the fight, you have to help your grandmother move. Um, but like, hey, dude, like the fight's at like 7 p.m. It's only like 2. Like you could still fight if you wanted to, you know? So that was the very first fight. I kind of got robbed of that experience because of that. And then my second one, this was a legitimate one. Actually, my that opponent that we've actually spoken, very nice guy. It was like a week before. It was like the week. It was like a week before the fight. Um, it was like right before Thanksgiving. He's a wrestler and he had a major neck injury, so he had to pull out.
oof.
Um, and so yeah, so he couldn't fight. So I said, okay, well, no fight for me because who's gonna step up on a week notice. So obviously I started eating Thanksgiving food. I gained a little bit of weight, and then I get a message from the promoter on Monday. Hey, I got you an opponent. This guy like he doesn't like he's never fought. I don't even know that he trains at a gym, but he wants to fight bad. Do you want it? Let me think about it. But as a hometown fight, I had to take it, and so that was like a last minute weight loss scrambling, and I got the fight and I won the fight too. But yeah, those are twice that's happened to me.
Wow, very interesting. And this is the first time that I hear that a fighter had to pull out of of a match because he had to help a relative move. Wow, never heard of it in my life.
Hey, and I was when I talked to the promoter, he said, I didn't think you. No, nobody but the promoter was surprised. Not even the promoter's partner, like his significant other, his wife or girlfriend at the time. I'm not sure. She was like, "Yeah, he's like this kind of person." And I was at the fight watching my teammate fight, and next to me is the same is like a somebody from that same gym, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I was supposed to fight today." He's like, "Wait, you're supposed to fight this guy?" Dude, he's a fucking asshole. Like nobody likes it. Like nobody likes him, dude. Like I'm not like he's one of those like he wants to be at the gym just to like beat on people, to bully people. I was like, oh, okay. Well, again, nobody was surprised that he pulled out except for the promoter.
Wow.
It happens. It's all good. It's whatever.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe what you're telling me. Okay, let's talk about a little about the kickboxing MMA scene here. Let's say, for example, here in South Carolina, how do you see it? Do you think that it's growing? Do you think that there can be some fighters that can make it to probably to the big time? There can be good fighters that have like potential to be good or great. How do you see it?
Yeah, so like South Carolina fighting scene is not as big as big major cities like Atlanta or Florida as a state or California, Texas. It's just it's not that big of a state. But yes, there are definitely fighters here that can definitely do some big damage as they grow and as they develop. Of course, my teammate Fernando Hernandez, he's one of the best strikers I've ever had to spar and train with. I mean, he's so technical and so gifted in so many ways. His record just doesn't show it, but it's just because he hasn't able to put it all together. But he's starting to get that momentum. He's the current K1 champion for a promotion that I work for, Ascend. He's going to be going to the Dominican Republic to represent Team USA and defending his actually fighting for a world kickboxing title. Uh, yeah, he could definitely go pro. He could definitely do some damage. My teammate Anatul, she's a current professional fighter. She's scary and very, very nice, but really scary to spar with. She's obviously very good. Honestly, most of my teammates at Charleston Muay Thai, they're very, very talented, very skilled, and any of them could go with the pro one day. If not, they're tearing it up in amateurs right now. As for people in the other gyms and other sectors, yeah, there's definitely a few guys. I'm not sure if I want to like name drop everybody, I just want to
Okay.
make sure like I keep a good relationship with other folks too. But yeah, there's definitely guys around the Myrtle Beach area, and uh, a few fighters in the Columbia area, and then I would say a small handful in the Greenville area. Actually, one particular fighter, he is about to turn pro. He was in Brazil this past summer for a Gamma MMA World Tournament. He got disqualified for a technicality, which was shouldn't have really haven't been his way. But he's about to turn pro, and he's going to be a very, very dangerous fighter.
Okay.
He's a yeah, so and in the MMA world, and then yeah, so South Carolina has like these small pockets of like really elite level fighters. Um, and if I speak out in the general area of the Southeast, which is now even bigger outside of South Carolina, yeah, there's even more, man. Like there's definitely some areas in the Southeast. And honestly, Georgia is a really big one. Georgia has a lot of upcoming fighters, lots of gyms that are up and coming. Um, Again, I'm about to go work on a show in 2 weeks, Conflict 68 in Augusta, Georgia, and you're gonna see a lot of those fighters that I'm talking about there. Those guys are really hardworking and scary and dangerous, and they're basically just digging until they hit gold type of deal. So yeah, there's definitely some up and coming fighters in the Southeast region that I think in the next 5, 10 years can be on the pro scene. Some that can really be, I think, on the big scene, and some that are going to be obviously working their way up there. But yes, for sure.
Okay. And would you like to turn pro maybe one day in a few years if you had the chance?
Yeah, if the opportunity presents itself, of course. I'm not looking at fighting as like I want to turn pro to make money. That's not the reason why I'm in it. And then but obviously, if when the road leads down there, yeah, I would absolutely love to. Obviously, I care about this, right? Like I care about it because I do it. I do it enough to care about it, and I want to be as the best that I can be, right? This is something that I should try to do that. And so, whatever that leads me down to, whether that's just being an amateur and maybe pro is not a thing for me, or maybe I could be a pro one day and maybe I can be a pro in the big leagues. Who knows? I don't know where it'll take me. I really don't know. I feel like I'm just getting my bearings together as a fighter. And so I think in the next few years, we'll kind of have a better idea of where I can go. But yeah, if the opportunity is there, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that in kickboxing or maybe MMA that fighters they don't have too many amateur fights like we see in boxing to then turn to then and then turn pro. For example, an MMA fighter has like five, six, seven amateur fights and then turns pro. A kickboxer may have 10 kickboxing fights, 20, 30, 40, probably a little bit more, and then turn pro. But not as much as we see sometimes in boxing that fight boxers, I don't know, have 70 amateur fights, 190, even more than 100, or even more than 200, and then they turn pro. Is it like, can you think of any like reason, any particular reason of why you see that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I can actually name you several. And that's actually a great comparison you made there. So boxing was at the time one of the biggest sport in America, right? And I don't even know, like boxing has been in America forever. I mean, fighting as in general as a sport that humans have done since the dawn of time, right? But in particular, boxing in America. Um, Boxing is a sport that is structured and supported by the Olympic Performance Center. So, because it is an Olympic sport, there's a support system and an infrastructure built around boxing, USA boxing in particular, that is like modeled around competition for the Olympics. And what that means is boxing is considered a poor man's sport back in the day. And I guess it could still be considered that way. So boxing is able to make their way into low income area to provide as a source of physical activity and activities for kids in that area. And so you see more kids being in boxing programs over like kickboxing. And because it's supported by the USA Boxing Olympic Committee, there is a the fights are scored on a point system. So it's not like the fights that you watched us fight on Conflict, where it's scored on pressure, aggression, um, damage. USA Boxing is scored entirely on like etiquette, ring generalship, aggression and pressure, and points, punches landed. And what they count as punches landed are punches landing clean. So not on the arms, not on the gloves, landing clean on the face or the body, right? And so because of that, um, there are more you could fight more often than you could in kickboxing, right? You're taking less damage per fight. Um, they wear headgear, they wear a groin guard, they wear gloves, right? Um, you could essentially fight more. So you have these guys who have 300 fights in USA boxing fights because they started at the age of like 8 and they fight 10, 15 times per year because in certain areas of the country, for example, Atlanta, California is a big one, New York, Philadelphia, there's a USA boxing event like every other weekend. And you can pretty much fight with no restriction as long as you don't get stopped or finished. And then, of course, there's a suspension. But aside from that reason, you can have so many more fights. Whereas kickboxing, fighting is not really a sport that is accepted in American society, right? Parents want kids to do soccer or football or American football or baseball or whatever the hell else, where they don't want kids doing fighting. And when parents think about doing martial arts, they think about karate or they think about jujitsu, judo, or wrestling, right? And these are all combat sports, but they're not kickboxing fights. Especially in karate, which is the only striking sport I listed there, it's point based. So you put kids in systems where they're not competing in kickboxing, and so there's no infrastructure to support kickboxing growth from an early age. It requires shows like Conflict or the IKF to put on events for young kids. So people really aren't able to fight because there's no infrastructure supporting it. And then because there's no infrastructure supporting it, um, people don't start at an early age. And because it's not widely accepted in the Olympic sports, uh, the society as a whole just don't really accept fighting as a sport. So that's like a really long tangent, but like that's my opinion.
Yeah, I can understand, but I would say that not only in the here in the United States, it happens also in Asia and Europe when you have a lot of boxers turning pro after 100, 200, after 100 and 200 amateur fights. Look at Vasil Lomachenko, if you know who he, of course you know who he is. Well, Lomachenko like turned pro. Lomachenko recently retired from pro boxing, but he turned pro after almost 400 amateur fights. So,
That's
yeah.
correct. So that's actually a little bit different in their cases, right? So over like in that block, in that Eastern block, um, when you are a Olympic level boxer, you are like a god in their country. Whereas if you turn pro, like nobody really knows who you are unless you become like one of the best. But if you are a amateur fighter with 300, 400 fights or fighting an Olympic level, dude, you are like a national hero. And they can make money over there fighting amateur, whereas in America you can't. So there's actually not a lot of incentive over there if you're a highly skilled amateur boxer to turn pro because you can make money still. And now you have sponsorship, and now you're a national hero because you're competing at an elite level. So there's really not a lot of incentive for you to turn pro and kind of give up all of that. It just doesn't make sense for them. So, and of course, combat sports accepted differently over there. Boxing, fighting, judo, sambo, that's like football, American football, golf, baseball to us. That's normal for them, right? Ball sport is not played over there. They do fist sports, right? They punch each other. So That's normal over there, and so that's another reason that those guys have hundreds of fights.
Yeah, at least in a boxing level, and in we could also say probably in other combat sports that as we consider like Olympic, like judo, because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as far as I'm concerned, is not an Olympic sport, but judo, Taiwan, and karate are.
That's correct. And I know that I think the judo community, so I'm not in the judo community, so I don't want to speak for them, but I have seen some comments about um like karate. When that was introduced into the Olympics, that kind of ruined the sport, is what some people are saying. Um, so it wasn't about the judo community. The karate community have mentioned that it being an Olympic sport somehow in some way like diminished the sport in some way. Perhaps it's because it became so much more about point fighting rather than like the traditional karate fighting styles and fighting competitions. Maybe that's what they're referring to. But yeah, so those are in Taekwondo, the same thing. Taekwondo, they say the same thing there too. So I'm not sure if being an Olympic sport's always the best thing for combat sports, but that's not really up to me to say. Those are just what I hear.
Okay, so one more question. What do you think? What do you think should happen so that like that kickboxing and MMA can grow more in South Carolina and others in other states, so it can have that notoriety that it has in other states? What do you think should happen?
I don't think there's really much that can happen. You're talking about like a population difference. Like it's just you're comparing apples to oranges when you're comparing states to states, right? Some states are just massive with a lot of people, and with a lot of people, there's more businesses, there's more people who are interested in those things. It's kind of like if you look at South Carolina as a whole, really the only sport South Carolina excels at is football, American football, and sometimes basketball. But when you look at the list of like players that went to the NBA, there aren't that many from South Carolina. When you look at the list of players that went to the NFL, there aren't that many either. But South Carolina is more known for football and basketball than we are with any other sport, right? But my idea for introducing the sport at an earlier age is to get to increase popularity will be to introduce it into school systems. How you could do that? You implement grappling clubs, not just wrestling. So you teach the wrestling, but amongst the grappling club and middle school and high school, you introduce judo, you introduce jujitsu, and these kids are now getting mixed and understanding grappling as a whole. And I think anybody can tell you grappling sport can all mesh into one, right? Judo helps with wrestling. Jiu-jitsu helps with wrestling helps with jiu-jitsu, wrestling helps with judo. Like I'm sure they all kind of mix into each other. And if you want to introduce striking sports, you could do so by allowing no head strikes. So only shots of the body until perhaps you're like a senior in high school. But now we're talking about like violence in school, and obviously that's a whole other set of issues. But I'd say introducing combat sports into schools at an earlier stage, but that's a much easier said than done task.
Uh, okay, okay. So tell me, so do you know when you're going to have your next fight?
I'm not sure yet. My teammates from Charleston Muay Thai have many, many fights upcoming in the next like 4 months. So I think we're focused on them, and that's completely fine. That makes sense, right? I'm focused on them too. So I think I'm gonna try to take some boxing fights in between just to keep busy. But I don't have a date for my next fight yet, unfortunately.
Okay, so in your gym, I know that you do kickboxing, but they can also, if you want to compete like in boxing events, they can also help you, right?
Yes, I belong to two gyms. I would say I belong to East Bay Boxing, led by Ivy Boxing coach Isaac, and of course my Charleston Muay Thai, led by Jeff Grady. Um, Charleston Muay Thai, I do my Muay Thai and kickboxing training there, and East Bay, I do my boxing. But Charleston Muay Thai also does boxing with Coach Fabian. But I go to both places to get two different thoughts of fighting, and just sharpen my tools in as many places as I can.
Oh, okay. So now you would like to see to have like some boxing matches in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Again, I want to continue honing my boxing ability. Um, and I think boxing is a slept on sport in the kickboxing and Muay Thai community. Obviously, the boxing is a little bit different in the kickboxing and Muay Thai world, but I think many fighters neglect that skill. So I want to continue honing that.
Okay. So well, we can end it here. So well, Brandon, thank you for being here. Thank you for having you. Thank you for accepting. Thank you for being in my YouTube channel. It was great to hearing your story, hearing your career. Well, best of luck in your fighting career, and we're gonna to see you in many more fights. So it was great talking to you.
Thanks for having me, Ezekiel. Appreciate it.
My pleasure is mine. So, well, follow me so you watch more sports contents and more interviews with athletes and sports related people, including fighters, kickboxers like Brandon Halley. So, bye, Brandon. Good to see you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.